What is class? I came to this project as a student looking for her own identity markers on Vassar College campus, feeling a bit of identity wanderlust, not fitting into typical race, ethnic, potentially gender relationships or points of association. So I chose class, and I wondered why it might be important to talk about class, why I was feeling that I needed to identify based on class. However, as class is comparative, I struggle to find a source population within Vassar's campus as a whole, finding it rude to interrogate people's identity, self-identity, and privilege, and make it a question of revealing something that our society generally tends to conceal. Is going to a school like Vassar a vehicle for gaining social capital as a student enters Vassar's society? Do they have a class mentality? And how do they shed or reinforce that? Class brings up a lot of questions of social responsibility, indebtedness to one's society, welfare. Do students on any campus need to be aware of the disparities of class within the campus and between the campus and the outerline community? Through my analysis, I have slowly begun understanding that class is not important for everyone.
I don't think it's really talked about that much, because it's one of those silent social etiquette things, and from both sides you don't want to seem disadvantaged and you don't want to seem privileged, or at least here.
Whereas class is like, certain things happen, like, oh, we're going to go out to a restaurant, like, can this person afford it? Like, do I want to even propose going out?
But then again, I think it depends on the company you keep, like how good you would feel, how comfortable you would feel, like bringing that up.
I mean, like maybe in my art history class, there's like more girls wearing pearls or having like massive Louis Vuitton bags that are bigger than my backpack.
I mean, they're probably like fake anyway, so.
I know for a fact that some of them aren't.
I think people try to hide it more than they try to show it overall, because you don't want to be.
No, not until like
2 weeks ago. Last 2 weeks,
wherever it just exploded.
Do you think that Facebook is a way that is a space for people to
conspicuously consume? Yeah.
Certain person in our fellow group who's like, oh, look at all these bougie cafes I'm at all the time.
Oh, yeah. The person who Instagrams their dinner like every night, like, you have to wonder.
Not just vacations, but like people's plans that they reveal on Facebook, like, oh, I'm going to do a gap year. And just the fact that they can afford a gap year. Yeah.
So I don't want to make it sound like it's just like oh, look at me consuming. It's just that that's a byproduct of it.
Yeah, like I don't think they're being like show-offy, but people who are lower income will read that as like they'll feel bad about it. They'll be like, there's this idea that there's all these studies out there that say like looking at Facebook and seeing how happy people are makes you less happy. I feel like that effect is probably multiplied for someone who's lower income. Maybe like fear of missing out, but it's like fear of like I can't even afford to like not miss out.
Yeah,
it's like, people feel kind of powerless. There's certain common things that you could say are common knowledge based on class, like class knowledge, like someone who's more upper middle class, upper class would know certain things, and professors assume that you know these things.
Oh, yeah.
And then they ask it, and then like you're awkwardly left out because.
Like, I know, for example, for me, there was a lot of like paper writing issues that I had coming into college. I honestly think that it was something about public school and not having to ever have a requirement to write long papers. What I thought were moments in which my school structure were hindering me because of the class that I was in and I couldn't go to private school or something.
What is the middle class?
Well, I think that's a very important thing to ask, and to be able to ask, what class are you? In a way, I'd be forced to say upper middle class, since my parents have 6 degrees between the two of them, and I've never had to worry about meals. If I compare myself to other people who would identify in that way, I think I would see a lot of deficiencies, if you can call them that. in what I've experienced just because of grad school debt that I'm inheriting and other things. Day to day, I don't see class in in what the things I choose to do, the places like I've gone to New York I think 3 times this semester. This is a privileged thing to say, but Vassar is it's extremely stressful. I think I have that privilege to say, yes, I earned some money at Phonathon this month. That's what I'm gonna do with it. I deserve it. Very good. Occasionally, I've had to go to the pharmacy, which is on Main Street. You do have to
Rite Aid?
walk. Yeah, I have to walk outside of what's seen as I think the comfort zone of a lot of people here. I mean, I think people say a lot of bad stuff about Poughkeepsie when you say you're gonna Vassar, and I think I think I both kind of saw and was told was explained by professors here about how about the kind of assumption that is, and the classism that people kind of comes out of people's mouths without necessarily realizing it.
So
I think
Main Street gets a bad rep.
I think it does get a very bad one, and so I think in a way I kind of go there to say, okay, yeah, I can do Main Street. I always try to smile, or if I'm walking right past somebody, kind of say hi.
I relate to Meyerhoff's approach of analyzing one's own population. I'm cheating a little bit because we're all Vassar students, but I'm trying to go for something that hits close to home. Meyerhoff also used focus groups in her analysis, and I have attempted to do so in participating as of late with the Student Class Issues Alliance, or SCIA, a very small group that meets in the Rose Parlor, and I have yet to ask certain questions such as why there isn't a space in the Alana Center for this group, or where does this group belong? Is it situated? And I've noticed a mix of hesitancy to discuss personal or portrait like self-reflection, as Miller did in Facebook. As time goes on, hopefully I will develop more personal bonds, and within the constraints of this project, I'm not sure that I will be able to get personal portraits from these people, but it's a challenge, and it's a big question to answer with a small group, which leads me to Brewis's analysis, which was a huge statistical and structural analysis of a phenomenon within America. So I haven't gotten quite so large as Brewis's project entails, but I think that with the constraints of my being a student as compared to the knowledge of the administration and faculty and what the faculty is willing to concede, there is more information that could potentially have helped this project, such as statistics on students' income and students' families' income, and how exactly diverse is Vassar's campus on a classist scale. Whew, that's over.